Welcome everyone on the ZeroCEO program. Basically, this presentation that I'll go through in the next few minutes is really about how do you, as CEOs, founders, and business owners, nail growth, right? So really accelerate the business growth and achieve the goals that you want, and actually present a lot of science, both neuroscience, business management science, and secrets around this growth. And if I can ask you all to kind of just mute yourselves whilst we go through this. And one of the things that we're going to go through here is also what is that one critical leader habit that we've got to master in order to accelerate business growth. And we've got a lot of data on this now, on what we need to kind of nail in order to achieve this growth. So now, in terms of the research that we've done, firstly, I just want to start with a bit of a story and ask you, right? So my research on this goes way back to sort of 15 years ago, when I sort of came across this story, and I was researching billionaires, right? Billionaires as CEOs that have had the greatest success. They've been gone through very significant challenges in growth. They've essentially been able to grow not just nationally, but multinationally. And obviously, many of them appear in the top 100 richest leaders in the world, and some of them are billionaires. And so when there was this interesting story when the number one and number two richest CEOs in the world, which is these two gentlemen, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, caught up for dinner, right? And they caught up for dinner in Bill Gates' home. And it's actually Bill Gates' mom was cooking dinner for them. And she asked both of them this question, which was, she said hey, Bill, Warren, both of you are the richest CEOs and the most successful CEOs in the world. What's the one reason that you say, if you had to be one thing, what is that one success factor that got you to where you are today? And both of them actually gave the same answer. And self-mastery comes close. In fact, they all come close. But the one answer they both gave was one word. It was focus. So both of them said that their key success factor was focus. And that really drove everything else. So I did a lot of research over many years to figure out what that actually meant. Right? What does that focus actually mean to a leader, to a business owner? And really, it came down to this skill, which was the ability to prioritize and make high-value decisions, right? And deprioritize and delegate low-value decisions, right? That's really what that core means, right? So the ability to do it, but also to be able to do that frequently. So many, many times in a day, their minds are able to prioritize what is truly high value to the business and themselves, and deprioritize and delegate and remove that low value activity, right? That's really the skill that that they've mastered, that became a habit, and was effectively, as you pointed out, a discipline that they were able to create within themselves. And obviously, they've gone on to become billionaires. So I want to teach what the most successful people have done, not just the moderately successful, not just the mildly successful, but let's take what the best have done and let's try and emulate that. Because if there's only one thing you need to do, let's do what they've done. And let's break it down into what you can do today. So there's a lot of studies that have also correlated with what Bill and Warren said, right? So Bain, in a study at Harvard, also showed that there is a 95% correlation between your financial performance and your decision effectiveness. So how well you do financially and how well your business does financially is 95% correlated with the decisions you make every day. It's really that simple. And so the key thing for you to, and for CEOs to really learn how to do is you have to know how to focus and optimize your decisions for fastest growth, right? That is the one key question. That is one habit you have to master every day for you to accelerate your growth. Everything else, how to sell, how to market, and all that really comes down to this key skill, which is often not even taught very well. It's very ironic. So when we did our research around how does this actually play out in the life of CEOs, and what are the sort of the challenges that CEOs face? One is CEOs like yourself, founders, and so have a lot of productivity loss. On average, 2.4 hours a day, which is often about 15%, is actually spent on low value activity. This will be the case for all of you, even top level CEOs, right? So there's a significant waste on low value activity. The other piece that's a big problem for CEOs is this thing called cognitive overwhelm. So overwhelmed with a lot of activity, lots of pressure, lots of tasks that you need to manage, lots of people that you need to manage. And about 85% of CEOs say they have decision distress. So they have regret on decisions that they've made in the past that weren't the best decision for the business. And that has caused losses in the business, lag in the business, and so on. And then thirdly, a lot of CEOs, also up to 60%, say they have a degree of loneliness and mental health issues as well as a result of the pressure, as the result of the emotional burden of being in that leadership role, right? So these are very, very common challenges. And sometimes CEOs won't admit this. Right? So that's the thing. So some of these are actually secret challenges, like known to them, but not known to other people in the team or their colleagues and peers as well. But there's a lot of research that this is very true. These are the three biggest battles, right? So feel free to just check in a box if it's a yes for you on some of these as well. Now, the key thing is, why is this the case, right? Why is this a big problem? So the problem is, from a neuroscience perspective, every human is making 35,000 decisions a day. Your brain actually makes 35,000 decisions a day. That's just the general average for every human. And one of the things that's a real challenge and an increasing challenge, particularly in this digital world we live in, is that brain now is making decisions based on 400 different data sources, right? You may or may not know it, but these inputs from your team members, from your LinkedIn, your WhatsApp, your email inbox, YouTube channel, Facebook, and so on, like all these are inputs. And we now have about 400 different digital inputs or data sources. So our brain is trying to make these 35,000 decisions from its 400 data sources. And you're now, as CEOs and founders, trying to make your decisions on, okay, right now I need to spend time on sales. I need to spend time on marketing. I need to spend time on my team. I need to spend time on influencing some stakeholders or my budgets or developing my own career. So the brain is trying to make these decisions to optimize where exactly I need to spend and how exactly I need to focus. So it's complicated, but this is the skill that your Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and all that have mastered, such that they're able to grow the fastest, right? And this is where many, many leaders actually struggle. And this is why it's a struggle. And so what we've done is, over many years, right, we've worked through what is that critical method to accelerate growth and how do we do that faster today, right? Because we now live in a different world to when Bill Gates and Warren Buffett grew their businesses. We now have AI in play, and many leaders are using it. And so we call this methodology Neuroscience and AI Optimized Leadership, right? N.A.I.L. It's not a fancy term that I just coined. It really was the fact that we've got to actually optimize your brain as a CEO, as a human. We've got to optimize that programming. And then we've got to optimize how AI is utilized and combine that. That dual combination as a leader will now drive the growth of the next Bill Gates and the next Warren Buffett, right? So leaders like yourselves are looking to grow your business next 3, 5, 10 years. This is the critical skill for the future. So this is what we are actually working with you on. Now, that's the high level name. What is actually underpinning this? Now, this may seem like an overwhelm. It's just an overview for you right now. You don't have to memorize this. But just to let you know, under this N.A.I.L growth operating system that we've developed, which will help you grow your business, as we said, many leaders are challenged with these competing priorities. The teams that are inconsistent, they feel overwhelmed as well. We've developed 3 key pillars. And in every session that I work with leaders on, I'm always working with you on these 3 big key pillars. One is profitable sales. The marketing and sales activity that you're doing has to be profitable. And this is why we're constantly reviewing your portfolio of activity, the strategy, the marketing activity underpinning it, the sales activity underpinning it. It must all be profitable at the end of the day. You shouldn't just be the hamster wheel of generating more and more activity, reaching out to more customers, but that doesn't give you the biggest profit. So this is one big pillar that ZeroCEO and myself are working with you on. The second pillar is operational performance. So once we get that commercial strategy and activity right, then how is that translating into how your teams operate? How does HR support the functions? How does IT and finance support the functions? How do you adopt AI and where should you adopt it? That all drives your operational performance. That's your second big pillar. And the third one is how do you as a leader grow? We call that inspiring leadership, right? What do you need to do in order to grow your mindset, your ability to motivate your teams, and your hard skills as well, right? Where do we need to work on? And so underpinning each of these are sub-pillars or sub-modules. Don't worry about any of those right now. But what I'm just trying to say to you is that every challenge that you have has already been mapped into a category, and there are other sub-modules underpinning this. This is one of the most advanced science in terms of business acceleration. And the piece that I'm talking to you around, that bottom right corner, optimized decision-making, that's where we need to absolutely master. It might seem like the last one, but what Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and all these top leaders are telling us is that's the one we absolutely have to nail first, because that will drive everything else, right? So I hope this is making sense at the moment. So how do we do that? Okay, there's two key skills to this, and we'll go through a very quick overview, but we'll spend a lot of time working through this and using this skill on every problem that you have, because that's going to help you basically nail growth. The first bit is what we call neurofocus, right? And this is about how do you focus your mind now to prioritize your decisions? Because your mind, your brain is processing every single business problem right now. And if we can help it focus, that's going to be key skill number one, neurofocus. So what does that involve? Very quickly, your mind's coming up with opportunities and challenges. These are the things that you'll bring up every day and in every session. The neocortex of the brain is processing the facts, like what are the numbers around that problem. The emotions attach a feeling to the problem. This is processed by your limbic system. And your brain stem is creating this kind of fight or flight response to every problem. In some phases, you might feel a threat. In some phases, you might feel the need to run away from the problem or avoid the problem. Sometimes this is creating a blind spot in you as a CEO. So subconsciously, you may be avoiding certain things in your business that actually you need to be addressing, right? Or sometimes certain people or certain customer conversations. And so your brain, this is natural for you. It's like, because it's the natural human instinct. But as a result, your brain decides and is making decisions that will lead to profit or will lead to losses, okay? So this might seem like a sophisticated way of looking at it, but actually it is happening to every single human being right now, including yourself, right? So I just want you to be aware that your rational thinking, your emotions, and your brainstem, your instincts, survival instincts, are playing a role in every single business decision right now, okay? And that is leading to profit or loss. Very, very experienced leaders have already learned this idea that they need to actually optimize decisions and optimize how their brain works so that they can consciously address business decisions much better. Look at Steve Jobs. Look at what he did to optimize his decision-making and his brain capacity. Look at the same clothes. Look at the clothes that he wore for almost 20 years. What do you think is the reason he wore that same clothes? No guesses. No prizes if you guess correctly. Obviously, it was to save his decision capacity. And thank you for answering. It was to sort of save his decision capacity to reduce decision fatigue. So very, very good guesses, right? So he could stay focused. Now, think about how you dress every day. Are you wearing the same clothes or are you wearing different clothes? Because the moment that you've decided to wear different clothes, you're already using up some of that decision capacity. You're already losing some degree of focus. So the best in the world, now he grew the business, I think before he died, it was already doing certainly 300 billion, if I'm not mistaken, by that stage, because every day he was saving his decision capacity to focus on product issues, sales issues, marketing issues. We know he was a product genius and a marketing genius. So his capacity was really fully optimized to do that. And this is what we need to help you do moving forward as well, right? Even if you can do 1% as good as Steve Jobs, imagine how big your business can be. Same is true if we look at other business leaders, right? So if we look at Elon Musk, and sorry that we're using a lot of male examples here. We will have more female examples. Some of you will achieve some of that growth as well. But if you look at Elon Musk, right, what reason I brought him up, he is a very, very focused individual, more so than many other CEOs. We know that focus has led to growth to the extent that Tesla grew so to the extent that the market value of Tesla was equivalent to the next 10 competitors. If you add up the market value of the next 10 competitors, then you get the value of Tesla, which was at the time $800 billion when some of this data came out. Obviously, it's had a recent drop, but if you think about it, right? What happened when Elon Musk went to start Doge, right? What happened when he worked on something else, which was a government problem, and shifted his focus away from Tesla? Its value dropped from about 800 billion to about 400 billion, right? And there was a very significant crisis in that business. So this clearly demonstrates, when even the top business leaders like Elon Musk of today, even when they focus, they can grow. But even when they, as good as they are, lose focus or focus on something else, there's a significant value drop in their business. Okay. So there's really a lot of science and business evidence around what we're talking about right now and the skill that needs to be mastered, the most important skill. So there's 2 steps to this, right? And we'll be working with you on this over time. As we said, step 1 is neurofocus. So this step, and we won't do it right now, but this step is really for you to think about in every session, before you come into every session, but in every single day when you do your prioritization, to find a space of silence where you reflect on, and some of you are already doing this, you're probably already doing this. The question is, how well do you do it? How are you reflecting on your opportunities every day? What is the priority problem that you specifically need to be working on? And what's going to be the highest revenue generating activity? We believe you can do this in 90 seconds. And there's an exercise that you can do to do this, right? And this is something that I'll work with you on. This is step 1 of the N.A.I.L method, and I call it neurofocus. Finding that silence in 90 seconds, optimizing your priorities, working through them, thinking through them, and then clarifying what it is that you're going to work on and what it is that you're going to delegate and shift to somebody else, right? This is critical. And there's a lot to this, but we'll come to it. The second bit to N.A.I.L is, after you do neurofocus, is this piece we call prompt intelligence. Some call it prompt engineering, some call it prompt fluency. The thing is, prompt engineering is really a task. Prompt intelligence is a skill. And it's about how you develop the skill to use AI, like once you've clarified the focus, then generate that high value decisions. Okay. So this skill is something we're working with you on. It is something we have ZeroCEO for. And the more that you use ZeroCEO and your skill improves in how you use ZeroCEO, as well as other AI tools, then that's going to give you that more accelerated approach that Bill Gates and Warren Buffett back then didn't have, right? But every business leader today has. And so your ability to use this effectively in your prioritization every day is going to drive how quickly you can grow the business, okay? And so with prompt intelligence, we will be helping you assess that through the program. In fact, we've already done some assessment of it by looking at your data and how you use ZeroCEO up to now, which is why how you use ZeroCEO and other AI tools in this new method of decision making is going to be really critical for you and your growth moving forward, right? So it's no longer in the current age just facing a problem, facing an opportunity, our brain thinking about it and acting on it. Yes, that can be done for minor decisions, but absolutely for moderate decisions, for major decisions. But I also think in day-to-day decisions, now we are using AI a lot more to create that profit-making and that loss-making decision process as well. And this is the piece that we need to change moving forward. It's the behavior we need to introduce in order to help you grow the fastest, which is the purpose of this whole talk, right? Combining that neurofocus activity with this. Now, we have done this already. We have worked with other senior leaders in more depth over the last few years. This is a project we actually did about 3 years ago. We worked with Steve Rowe, who's a general manager at Legend Corporation. We helped him not only optimize his own decision making, but we used back then algorithms to generate his what actions that he should introduce within his own business. And what we found was that by combining his human thinking decisions with algorithm-based priorities, and in this case, 32% of his people strategy was generated by algorithms, we found that not only did his team performance improve and employee engagement improved by 4 to 5%, his staff retention also improved. But what was very interesting was the business actually showed 35% improvement in profit per employee, which was huge, right? And we had to actually analyze, well, what just happened here? Because we're seeing this this significant growth, improvement in profitability once you combine human decisions with algorithm-based priorities. And what occurred was that when we put the right strategies in place for his team and for his people, we saw staff retention improve. When staff are more motivated, when they are more engaged, because you have made better decisions for them, the business actually improves as well. The financials improve. And so the thing is, those financial improvements is actually a lag. What we've got to do first is improve our daily decision making. And we can use not only improve our own thinking, but we can use the machine. We can use the AI to help us do that as well. And the better we do that in combination, the better we will see your business improve. This is why we're trying to work with you on this kind of dual process at the moment. So step 2 is, as you've guessed, around prompt intelligence, is doing your own mental prioritization activity every day, improving how we do that, but also using the AI, using ZeroCEO in combination to help you generate those priorities so we can help you get to that more profitable growth. But it needs to become a daily behavior. It can't be something that we review every week or every month. It needs to be something that's introduced every day, that's shifting every day, so that we can actually accelerate your decision making and business growth and your decision effective. Okay. So in summary, the key message here is that in the past, there's absolutely no doubt the best business leaders were focused and they grew through the most optimal human decision making. That means just use their minds. Today, the fastest growth will come from the use of our mind and the use of AI in combination. Now, we may be using AI for multiple tasks, but the key thing here that we want to do with you and ZeroCEO is how do we use it for prioritization, daily prioritization? The 3 to 5 minutes every day, or maybe the 10 minutes every day we're prioritizing. This is the skill that we now want to disrupt moving forward. And the evidence is clear. And I believe that moving forward, when CEOs do this and their team members are also doing it together, that's going to drive exponential growth, right? Tomorrow and moving forward. In fact, I know teams that are already doing this and they're just accelerating very, very fast. So our mission, as you know, is to help 1 million leaders grow for a better tomorrow. And this is the methodology that we'll be using in order to do that. So thanks very much for your attention. I'm going to stop the presentation right here and open up to questions which you can either send to me moving forward, or we can discuss it in the conversation from here. Thank you very much. Look, yes.
So with so many different competing priorities, and with in the AI, how are we giving it the right inputs to ask it the questions to approach to know what how to prioritize that kind of stuff? Clear how to fit that into my daily workflow and make it part of my habits. Is it a case of like, here's everything I've got to do right now, which of these is the best use of my time?
Yeah, very good question. So best way to build it into its habit is to fit it into how you are currently prioritizing.